Oh, share my screen, right? You did.
Oh yeah, you can go ahead and do that.
Okay.
All right, and I think we're live. Hello and welcome everybody. We're so excited to have you all joining us today. My name is Kayla. I'm from Circonte. I'll be moderating today's session. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping items to cover. Yes, these sessions will be recorded and available on demand after the event. We'll also be following up with them via email. If you do have a question, go ahead and post it in the Q&A tab above or the chat. We'd love to hear from you. There's emojis, GIFs, and more. But let's get started. It's my pleasure to introduce you to our speaker today, Zoe Fisher, who has an awesome session ready for us, all about winning the quest for marketing attribution. So, Zoe, over to you.
Thank you, Kayla. Hi, everyone, and welcome to my session, Winning the Quest for Marketing Attribution. As Kayla said, my name is Zoe Fisher. I am the Principal Consultant for Marketing Automation at Nebula Consulting, who is a Salesforce partner. And I have been consulting for about 4 years now and was previously an end user of Salesforce and Account Engagement myself. So before we kick off, wanted to shout out to the sponsors. I had a really great time watching some of the sessions yesterday, and this is always a great event, lots of really good content. So thank you for making it happen, and thank you for having me on as well. Okay, so we're going to talk about marketing attribution today, and I really wanted to run this session because firstly, this is one, if not the biggest challenge of marketers, which is how to demonstrate your impact and get the credit that you deserve. And secondly, because there is really little information out there about using Salesforce and Account Engagement, formerly Pardot if you're new here, to report on your ROI. So when you do find information about that online, it's usually quite confusing about what are the actual steps you need to take to achieve this. And so hopefully by the end of this session, you'll be able to describe the key out-of-the-box elements using Salesforce required to report on your marketing influence on your bottom line. So marketing attribution then. It is simply taking our campaigns, which are our marketing initiatives, adding our contacts to those, and then ensuring that our contacts are linked to our opportunities so that we are able to have this linkage and report on the marketing initiatives that are bringing our revenue. So we're going to have a look at an example of how account engagement can be used to generate leads that become contacts with opportunities and how we can report on what influenced that sale. So our first example, we have an unknown visitor who clicks a social ad on LinkedIn, for example. Maybe they then browse the website, potentially download some content by submitting a form. This is the point that they will get created as a known prospect in Account Engagement and hopefully Salesforce. They then might engage with our emails. Perhaps they're in our newsletter campaigns now and they engage with this. And finally, they register for one of our webinars. Maybe it's more dreaming. So this is just a few activities that someone might do to start off as an unknown visitor, to then be a prospect who we know and a lead in Salesforce. So let's have a look at what this looks like from an account engagement and Salesforce perspective. So here we have our activities across the top that are tracked in account engagement, our lovely orange box. And then we have our prospect, which has the social campaign linked to it. So it's important to note that obviously in account engagement, we can only see that source campaign that's linked to our prospect. So the first touch campaign. And then our prospect is also syncing with a lead on Salesforce. And what we can see is that in Salesforce, our lead is in multiple campaigns, not just the first one. So we've got that campaign membership across all for our lead that's syncing to our prospect. So at the point that this lead converts and becomes a contact with an opportunity, we can see that not much has really changed here. So the contact will still sync with our prospect. The contact is still in all of those campaigns. And now we've got an opportunity as well. But how can we report on which of these campaigns is what influenced the opportunity? How can we actually measure and say, marketing did this and it's resulted in that? So that's what we're going to have a look at. So enter campaign influence. So this is a Salesforce feature. And before we dive into the workings of this, I want to do a quick note on contact roles. So contact roles are the link between a contact record and an opportunity. And you will need to have this in use in your system to be able to benefit from the features I'm going to talk about today. So when a user creates an opportunity, they can select the contacts that are related to that specific opportunity. Unfortunately, this is a step that I would say has been missed by a lot of customers when I first start working with them. But it is a really crucial link between the contact who's in all of our campaigns and syncing with account engagement and the opportunity, which is ultimately the revenue aspect of all of our reporting. So yeah, this is required for the campaign influence that we're about to talk about to work. So in Salesforce, campaign influence can be enabled, which creates a few things in the back end that allows us to report on the campaigns influencing our opportunities. So if you have a subscription to account engagement, we also get 4 additional campaign influence models available to us. I'm going to have a look at some of those in a minute. And what this gives us, this setting, is reporting and related lists to see which opportunities this campaign has influenced, for example. So that's a very quick review of the campaign influence settings, but let's have a look at the attribution models and what that actually means. So here we have our very familiar activities again that we looked at earlier. And let's have a look at the different models. So first we have first touch. And this obviously gives all the weight to that first campaign that we interacted with. So if we think about how account engagement works and that we only had the social campaign with our prospect on that diagram, that's a way of reporting on our first touch attribution. But we might say actually all of these campaigns had a hand in driving that opportunity. So let's look at the even distribution model where we can say that all of those campaigns had a 25% influence on that opportunity, which is all of the campaigns that our contact is in when we create that opportunity. And then finally, we have the last touch model, which, as it sounds like, it just gives all the weighting to that final campaign that someone was in before the opportunity closes. So there are many models out there in the world, and you can create your own as well. A couple of examples of other ones would be the weighted multi-touch model, where you might say that you give more weight to your webinar campaign than you do a social campaign or a newsletter campaign. So you can actually weight the different campaign types and have that influence a bit differently. You can also have a decay model where, depending on the time that someone's been engaging with a campaign and the length of time that's passed, you might give less weight to that campaign if it was a longer time ago. So there's lots of models out there. You can create your own as well, like I say. So these are just the ones that you get out of the box with your account engagement subscription when you enable campaign influence. And they're essentially just different ways of viewing your marketing attribution. But what if you didn't want one of those campaigns to be included, or if the time frame of those activities we looked at was actually a really long period of time? So that's where auto association rules come in. So this can be enabled so that you can automatically create campaign influence records. So if this is not enabled, then users would need to manually add campaigns to the influence related list. And what we can do here is we can set a time frame and a criteria so that irrelevant campaigns don't appear to influence our opportunities. So an example of that might be that you don't want your sales campaigns to be included in this, because actually you just want to do marketing attribution using campaign influence, so you don't want sales campaigns included. And also you might want to align that time frame with the length of your sales cycle. So there's no good having a time frame of a year when your average sales cycle is perhaps a month, because a campaign a year ago might not actually have influenced a campaign today. So really thinking about how you want to configure this based on your business needs. So yeah, the dates are really important here, and next we're going to be going through some examples in more detail of how the auto association rules work. Okay, so there is a formula. If you hate maths like me, don't worry. We're all going to know this by the end of today's session. So this formula is for the auto association rules, which is essentially the opportunity create date minus the campaign member create date, and this must be less than our campaign influence timeframe. Also remember that there's other criteria that could play into this as well. So there could be a few reasons why a campaign might be included or not included in your campaign influence. But essentially what we're looking at here is the difference between the opportunity create date and the campaign member create date. But this is the formula provided. It just looks a bit more confusing than it is. So it's also important to note that the association will stop when the opportunity closes as well. So let's look at an example of how this might work. So we're going to use the campaign influence time frame of 180 days. And we're going to look at a timeline of when things are happening. So if on the 2nd of October, a contact was added to a campaign, and then today, 2nd of November, we create an opportunity and we add that contact to the opportunity. That's a time frame of 31 days, which is within the 180 days. So the campaign influences the opportunity. Okay, next we have a contact being added to a campaign on the 1st of May, and the opportunity was created today. Mod Dreaming's a very good event. And this gives us a difference of 185 days. Therefore, the campaign does not influence the opportunity. And this final one is an example that I find catches people out sometimes. So let's say we create our opportunity today, 2nd of November, and then we add our contact to a campaign on the 30th of November, so 28 days from today. This is actually a difference of minus 28 days, so it will influence the opportunity. But if the opportunity closed on the 29th of November, then that campaign on the 30th would not influence the opportunity. So it's much easier than the formula makes out to be. Cool. So now we know all of the technical stuff and how that all works behind the scenes. Let's talk about how we can visualize all this good stuff. So our reporting options. First up, we have Salesforce dashboards. So we can create custom reports after enabling campaign influence. I think you get 4. And this dashboard here took me literally 5 minutes to make. So once you've got the custom reports, you can really start to view the results very quickly. So the kind of time to value there is quite short. So as soon as you've enabled everything and you've got enough data there going, yeah, you can create a Salesforce dashboard using those custom reports really quickly. Really nice way to get sales and marketing alignment pretty fast as well. So yeah, I 100% recommend, if you're going to go down this route, to use a Salesforce dashboard for a kind of quick view on how things are going. Next, we have account engagement reports. So for those of you who are a bit more experienced with the platform, you'll know that reporting here can be quite limiting. And it's also important to remember that account engagement uses that first touch model, so reporting on that source campaign. And secondly, for this to work, this dashboard specifically, you will need to set the cost on your campaigns as well. But this is an interactive report on account engagement where you can change the axes and the points on the chart depending on what you want to view about your campaigns. And it can be quite nice as well if you're wanting to see sort of visually that ROI for each of your campaigns. Next, we have CRM Analytics, formerly known by many names, but this is the most recent one. So this is the B2B Marketing Analytics app, and this is the multi-touch attribution dashboard. Oh, am I still connected? Am I still connected? I just cut off for a moment. Kayla, am I still connected?
Yep, I can still hear you. You're good.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. It all went black for a moment. Great. Okay, back to B2B Marketing Analytics. So like I say, this is the multi-touch attribution dashboard. This is out of the box. So depending on your account engagement edition, you've got access to this, and you usually get about 5 licenses per business unit as well. So this is a really handy dashboard. As we can see from the top, we're able to filter by influence model, Salesforce campaign, date range, and things like that. And you really have no customization required on this one as long as you're using all of the default fields and standard objects. But yeah, this is a really handy one to use as well to align with your sales users, but just be mindful of the licenses because you might need to buy more than 5 depending on how big your team is. And last but certainly not least, I don't think we could have a talk without talking about Data Cloud at the moment. So if you're not familiar, this is the platform that is really in the spotlight right now, formerly known as Genie or 360 Audiences. Data Cloud essentially lets you ingest your data from multiple sources and then harmonize it to get a single view of your customer, which is called a unified individual. So we can ingest that data from Salesforce, Marketing Cloud, all the products within, as well as our really disparate sources as well. And we all know how much marketers love a huge tech stack. So it's a really great way of bringing all that data into one place. You can also use this for segmentation and activation, so pushing it back into things like Marketing Cloud or wherever. But what's great about this is that by using this tool, we're able to visualize the data sources that are providing us with the highest amount of revenue. So we can get a much fuller view of marketing attribution by connecting all of those sources and then reporting on our unified individuals and the volume coming from different areas as well. Cool, so that is Data Cloud. So I'm going to leave you with a few tips for success. First up is about campaigns. First of all, if you're not using connected campaigns, please start using it. This is to ensure your Salesforce campaigns are the source of truth and then sync them over to account engagement. Like I say, if you're not using that, please use it. And I often get asked a lot about how someone's campaigns should be set up. One of my recommendations is to structure and name these in a way that reflects your reporting requirements. So if your board or whoever would like to see ROI by channel or by different teams, break your campaigns down into that then, and look at the hierarchy as well, which is really, really useful for getting more granular with your campaigns as well. So something we haven't discussed yet is how account engagement doesn't automatically create leads or automatically add them to campaigns generally. So again, if you're new here, not to worry, we've got lots of automation tools available to us in account engagement. So making sure you're using the right one in the right place to add prospects to campaigns at the right time because as we saw with the auto association rules, time really matters. So if you've got forms where people are downloading content or contacting you or whatever it is, having a completion action, assign them, add them to their campaign, and making sure that that data flow is correct so that that way you can do all of this great reporting down the line. Next is contact roles. So we talked a bit about this already, but my tip here is really to enable your users as much as possible to do this. So one of my customers, for example, has set it up so that opportunities can only be created from a contact record, so that that way they have to add that contact role. There's lots of ways lots of features to, improve user enablement and the UX side of things. Definitely explore those with your Salesforce admin and make sure that this is as easy as possible. I can't say how many times I've had amazing marketing teams that are using so much in all the right ways. However, they're not able to get the reporting on how marketing is impacting their revenue because the sales teams aren't educated or equipped to be doing the linking contacts to opportunities. And unfortunately, that it can be a point of failure. So making sure that contact roles are being used is super important. And there are also tools on the App Exchange to automate this as well. So have a look on there. Cool. So in summary then, all you really need to do to win the quest for marketing attribution is to get your campaigns organized and set up in a way that makes sense. Ensure you've got your automation so that you can add your prospects as leads and add the leads and contacts to the campaigns, and then using those opportunity contact roles as well. And then we can enable and configure our campaign influence and benefit from the reporting that this provides and report on our marketing attribution. Thank you very much for having me. See if we have any questions.
Thank you so much, Zoe. That was a great session. We do have a few minutes for Q&A, and I did catch one in the Q&A chat for you. For the account engagement ROI report, how does it know which opportunities prospects are attached to? Is this because of the contact role?
Yes, you answered it yourself. Absolutely. So account engagement can view opportunities that are related to prospects. So by standard, accounts, leads, contacts, and opportunities from Salesforce sync to account engagement. And the only way we can see from account engagement what opportunities are related to our prospects is from that contact role.
And let's see. Oh, here is another one. Are you tracking the weighted value in Salesforce somewhere for an account engagement or Salesforce somewhere for the calculations, or is this something done outside of the system?
So if this is talking about the campaign influence models, where you can create different ones, this is where definitely the information out there is a bit of a black box. You can create your own models. Oh, am I still on? It's gone black again.
Oh no, yeah, you're still.
Oh,
there.
Okay, fine. Great. Yes. So when you create your own one, I've seen people do this in a few different ways as well. I saw someone do a really great one using Flow actually to build this really clever weighted model, but it will be done in the back end of Salesforce, essentially using various tools to do that. So we can't control that from account engagement, unfortunately. So that would be something that you would want a Salesforce admin or developer to get involved in to build that for you. There may be something on the App Exchange as well on this. I haven't actually checked recently for anything on there for models.
All right. Cool. I don't see any more Q&A coming through. So thank you again, Zoe. That was a great presentation. And that will conclude today's session. If no more questions, thank you again to everybody who joined us. We have some great sessions coming up. There's one on personalizing multi-touch attribution dashboards with ease. So it would be a great follow-up to this session for sure. Otherwise, you can head over to the agenda to check out what to join next. But thank you again, and take care, everyone.
Thank you very much.